Hey traders, John Howell here. Let's have a look across the markets today. There's actually a few things that I want to share with you today, guys, that I've been looking at the markets right now. It's Monday morning for me in down here, good old Australia, Sydney, Australia. For you guys that are from Sydney, Australia, welcome, or from the Aussie. For you guys that are not, welcome you as well too. Anyway, welcome. Something really interesting is happening right now. I've been doing some study and analysis this morning. And I've come across some few observations around what could be forming in these markets. And for me personally, guys, as you guys know, I need to be able to see what's really going on and what's really happening and be alert to me maybe viewing the markets the wrong way and maybe seeing things the wrong way and not really seeing what's really happening. So there's a few things happening with gold right now that could be there. Some of the indices right now as well too. Really interesting stuff that's forming there. So let's get straight into it, guys. Don't place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, traders. So let's get straight into the education right now. One thing that I always tell my private clients, because I have a private client group. If you want some private coaching, guys, for 1 year every single day, second link in the description. You can go apply for that in the link in the description there. But one thing I always tell my private clients is that no one really knows definitely what's going to happen tomorrow, this week, next month, right? No one definitely knows. Now, I'm really confident what's going to happen on the big picture. Right, that big long-term picture, meaning from now through to 2030, but the timing of that, right? So for example, when I say I don't know, like I'm really confident by 2030, we're going to see a supersonic boom out of the metals and miners, right? By 2030. Now, when does that start though? That's going to be probably over 2 or 3 year period that supersonic boom happens, right? Not just in one day. So we're clear here. So, but with that statement, I'm really confident that if I had 2030 and look back like, oh, look, 2027, 26 it started, 27, 28, look, oh, wow, look at the metals and miners, right? I'm really confident we're going to see that sort of effect on the other side of the elections, right? So, but the issue with that is I don't know the timing of that. Is it going to start now? Is it going to start next month? Is it going to start 2 years from now? Like, when's that going to start, right? So I'm really confident on that sort of long-term picture there. But on the short-term analysis, as a trader, right, as a person who trades the market every day, I must always be alert of what's really going on with these markets and what's really happening. And there's been a few observations. Now, for me personally, guys, I've been looking for the market to have a bit of a bounce here, but maybe, just maybe, I'm wrong about the bounce coming. Right? Maybe I'm wrong about the bounce coming. Now, there is going to be bounces, right, on the way down, and in a downward market, we know, right, the market's not just going to go straight down like this, right? What's going to happen? It may rally a little bit, then go down, and rally a little bit, go down, right? We start to get lower highs. We start to have a downward trend. The market's not going to go straight down. So the market will tell us what's going to happen. But on a few observations, when looking at these markets, if I look at, say, the Dow Jones, okay, look at this here. Look at this Dow Jones here. Now, the Dow Jones is right at the level of support level here. Now, what does the Dow Jones do here? Because this is a really important level for the Dow Jones, okay? Now, the reason why I say that is because we are at 2 major levels of support, right? 2 major levels of support through here. Now, if indeed the Dow does not hold here and we get a bounce, right? Which I'm expecting to see a bounce. I believe we're going to get some form of a bounce because we are at the support level. But if we don't, okay, if for some reason the market doesn't hold these 2 major levels of support on the Dow Jones, then what does that mean? That means that probably we have just created what's called a V top in the markets. A V top. Look at this here. Straight up, straight down. Now, this scenario where it is right now is actually quite bullish for the market. It's actually, or should I say, having that at support levels, generally speaking, produces that out of the markets. Okay, generally speaking. But what happens if the market doesn't do that? What if the market doesn't produce a bounce here? Well, that simply means now that understanding what's happening, if we continue down from here and we do break down and we continue down through here, especially this low through here, right, that low right there, if we break down there, then guess what? We're probably likely to start to see something like that happening, right? Something like that happening. Now, again, guys, for me, right now as I speak, I'm more bullish right now on the short term because we're at that significant support level. We had a big rally up. We had a big, strong move down. I believe we're likely to get a strong bounce out of this level here soon, especially on the Dow Jones. So when we're looking at the absolute short-term analysis, this right here, I'm expecting to see some form of a bounce and the Dow Jones start to come up. But I have to also keep in mind, as I said before, that this level through here, that significant low level, if the Dow Jones does break that level there, then I know, and it does keep going down through, it just keeps slicing through these support levels and keep coming down, I know there's something different happening in the markets right now than what I was thinking, and I need to flow with the markets. And so, with that being said, I need to keep an eye out for that sort of that sort of action through there. So, what does the market do? Now, the market will tell us here, okay, if the Dow Jones does start to slice through 3,000 or 33,600, and we start to get below here, we've probably created, this is what's kind of called a V-top formation, or either call it a complete false breakout and then we rally down. Now, the scenario that I think about when this happened is actually looking at the Russell. Let me show you the Russell here. So the Russell, look what the Russell did a while ago, right? The Russell actually did this. I remember this very. Look at this here, right? So we had this We had this sideways movement through here. This is what the Russell, remember this very clearly back in 2021, what the Russell did, right? So look at this here. What happened? The Russell had a big breakout, right? See the big breakout? So the Russell had a big breakout to the upside. We had this level through here, as you can see, right? The Russell had a big breakout, then came back down, right? At this sort of V-top formation. Now, what is this? This to me says, okay, cool. We had a big move up and a big move down. We should start to get a bit of a bounce here soon out of the markets, right? Now, again, I don't know for sure, but if we should start to get a bit of a bounce. Now, this is where, guys, especially when you're trading, for me personally, I have my trading setup, right? So I have my setup, but then I also have my entry candle that I get in on that says, okay, now's the time to get in on this setup, right? So say, for example, this is what I call a setup, right? You have your setup and then you have your entry candle. It says, okay, now's the time to get in. And that's what you definitely need in your setup there. And so for me personally, as you can see, right, just say, for example, this was the setup. For me, I would still need my entry candle to say, okay, now the setup is complete. Now we're likely to move, right? And so I'll be looking for a nice sort of strong breakaway bar or something like that off this sort of pattern here. Again, it's just according to my rules. But if we see this level through here, guys, just because we get this sort of formation, that's where it's very important not to just jump in on this. Wait for the market to start to pick up, because if the market does pick up here, so to speak, right? If the market does hold here and we start to rally up like that, then guess what's happening? Now we found support. Now we're likely to start to move up. But we just don't know what's going to happen here, right? This could even slice down and start to make a move back down towards the support levels, which it actually did through there, right? As you can see, we completely started to make a move down towards that low levels and so on and so forth. Makes sense? And then we completely started what? We completely started the downward trend. So as you can see, this one here was a complete false breakout, and also call it a V-top formation. It's actually massive V-top formation. So I'm always keeping an alert on the markets, and that there, as you can see, is quite similar to what the Dow Jones is doing. Now, this is where, guys, we don't want to be jumping in now, right? Actually, you don't want to be jumping in you want to be jumping in when your system says so. You need a trading system, guys, okay? What I'm doing right now is just giving you general market updates, all right? A general market update. But for your trading purposes, guys, it's so important that you have some sort of a system. A system just seems like, what patterns do you trade in the market? Because you're like, oh my goodness, it's at support. Let's go long now. Wrong. You are the 95%er who's going to lose all your money, okay? You need to have a really good trading system. The first thing in the description there, guys, with that free trading course, I give away my trading system. In fact, the very first video with that trading course below, first thing in the description, the very first video is like a 25-minute video walking through step by step my system and trade examples and how I find the trades and so on and so forth. So if you do need some help with the trading system, I'll give mine away for free. Again, first thing in the description, get access to the free course, and then the first video you get, which is actually that there on the very next page. So first thing in the description there. Or if you really do need some help, guys, then join my coaching program, second link in the description, and I'll be able to help you out even more. But that's what I'm talking about through there, right? So really, 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 really interesting stuff that's happening through there. And I personally just need to be alert that I'm actually looking for a bounce here. Right now, we should get a bounce. Okay? That's what I'm saying right now. We should get a bounce. But if we don't get a bounce in the market, says, I don't care what you think, John, you can go get nicked, right? You can go get nicked. Then I must, okay, cool. Well, we're not getting a bounce. Now what does that mean, right? If the market doesn't do this, what does that mean? And that simply means that, okay, maybe we have a lot more downside to come from there. So that's what I'm looking at there from the Dow Jones perspective. Let's go look at the S&P 500 here. And the S&P 500, we can see we've actually had a really big sort of, and this sort of drop we're getting right now, guys, as you can see, was quite expected, like a big move up, and then now we're getting a nice drop down through here. We do actually have a lot of support on the S&P 500, very, 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 very close to where it is right now, maybe just a little bit lower. So around about sort of that, because that 4,300 level is quite a decent support level through there. So I would expect to see some form of a support level through there on the S&P 500. If we go look at from there to there, from a Fibonacci perspective, from that major low to that point there, you can see that point through there. You also can see it from there to there as well too. So yeah, so that 50 to 60% level where it is right now is actually getting very, very, very close to where it is right now as I speak. So that's what I'm seeing through there, guys, on the S&P 500 and also the Nasdaq. Let me squeeze my Nasdaq chart up a little bit more just to get a much bigger view here, a much deeper view. Yeah, you can see we had the Nasdaq. That was the resistance level there on the Nasdaq, but now we're getting this very strong pullback. So we're probably likely to at least get a pullback down to this support level here, and then maybe get a bounce from there. From that level, if I look at, say, Fibonacci levels from this last low point to this point through there, yeah, so I'd have to say, yeah, just a little bit lower on the Nasdaq, maybe down to this 50 to 62% level. Get people fearful, and then probably see a bounce from there. So as you can see, guys, like right now I'm doing analysis of what the market's telling me right now and what I'm expecting based off what's happening right now. But as you can see with my Dow Jones analysis, guess what? If I'm wrong, now I say, okay, then if I'm wrong and the market doesn't do this, then what? What does that mean now? And I need to adjust and then keep going with it, right? One of the biggest things in your trading, guys, is just having the ability to say, okay, then I'm wrong in this view, or especially when you're in a trade. Okay, I'm wrong in this trade and I need to get out. Mine was the bond market recently. You know, I was very, very, very bullish the bond market, but then when I realized the bond market wasn't doing what I'm doing, the market was giving me early warning signs. I literally got out just for a 10% loss. I still got 90% of my funds back, ready to go again. And if I didn't listen to that, instead of being down 10%, I'd be down like 30+% right now, because I was letting my ego run with me and say, you know what, I'm wrong in this position. I need to get out. I need to cut my losses short, and then go find another position that is likely to make a big move, right? And that's what you want to do, right? That's what trading's all about, isn't it? Trading's all about, especially when you have some short-term analysis views. Trading saying, you know what, this trade's not working out for me. I've got it wrong. Or this is one of those trades that's just simply not working. I need to get out as quickly as possible, keep my losses short, free up the mind so I can then go again in the markets there. So let's go have a look at gold and silver and oil and all that sort of stuff. Let's go look at gold. And look what's happening here with gold, right? Look what's happening here with gold. So gold is really interesting. So if I squeeze my gold chart up a little bit more here, what's gold doing? Is gold developing a head and shoulder formation here? Is this a head and shoulder formation on gold? So we have a rally up, we have a move down, we have a rally up, we have a move down, we have a rally up, and then we have a move down. So is this some form of maybe some sort of a head and shoulder formation? that I'm seeing in the markets right now. This actually looks really, 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 really interesting in the markets, guys, to see, to see that forming from there. Okay, cool. So that's actually that's really interesting, guys, to see what's happening here on the gold market. Is we're selling off right now, and now we could be developing this sort of head and shoulder formation. If I go to the silver market as well too, we can see that we've actually got really not much going on with the silver market. But the thing about the silver market right now, guys, is this: we had a strong move up and a strong move down. What comes next out of silver? Because if silver, we see how we had strong up and strong down. If we get, I always like to look for what's called an L-shaped pattern, right? The L-shaped pattern or the upside down L-shaped pattern, right? So we have I like to look for setups that go strong down and then slow across like that, or up and slow across like that, right? If I go back to the gold chart, you'll be able to see I've actually identified some of them, or I traded these back here, but as you can see, look at this here, right? Strong up, slow down, strong up, slow down, strong up, right? So I always like to get these patterns. I always like to see this pattern here: strong up, and then sort of a slow move down, strong up and a slow move down. Again, guys, that first thing in the description there with the free trading course, the very first video I talk to you a lot more about this setup, but then also my entry candle to say, okay, now's a good time to get in to this particular position. I have my setup. Okay, this is the setup. We're getting ready for a good trade. And then a lot of the times it doesn't confirm, it does the opposite. But then I'm waiting for the entry candle there. So if I go back to silver, the purpose of me telling you that with silver, you take everything off the screen here, is that if silver starts to develop this strong up and then strong down, but if silver starts to develop this here, notice how that's a lot weaker, right? This is a weak up move, strong up move. So we had a move down and then a slow move across. What does that mean? That means then we have a support level here, and that means that silver could be getting ready to have a breakdown. And if that's the case, we could be getting a move back down towards 20, maybe even down towards the 18 level on silver. So that's what could be forming, not right now, right? It's probably going to take probably another week or two to develop that sort of movement from there, if it is going to develop that. But if we do start to get that, then there could be some shorting opportunities on the silver market. Let's go look at the dollar index. Now, the dollar index is actually doing something really interesting. One thing I've noticed about different types of patterns, guys, in the markets is that you start to see things like I noticed this sort of pattern here, right? So it's what's called maybe like a slowing down pattern, right? You have a strong move up through here, and then what happens is the market starts to do something like this. It starts to slow down, and then generally what happens is we start to get a reversal like that, right? Or we have a strong move down, we start to slowly go down like this, and then we start to get a bit of a reversal like that. So I'm looking at this down here. Look at this here, down, and we're starting to get what? We're starting to get this here, and we're starting to get that. So overall, on the dollar index, we're getting this sort of pattern, which a lot of the times it actually produces a reversal to the upside because it's strong down. That's what I call slowing, right? Slowing. It goes down strong, it slows down, and we get the reversal. See that through there, guys? So when I'm looking at the markets, I'm always looking at these patterns to see what's happening. And then on top of that, did we just create a end of trend false breakout type of a pattern here on the dollar index? And is that the reason why we're starting to get a lot of pressure on the metals? And then what I'm talking about here is this, guys. Look at this here. We've got a flush down, then we've got a flush straight back up again. Look at that there. So is indeed dollar index false breakout or end of trend before the dollar starts to make a move up? Is that what's about to happen? And if so, then yeah, you could probably expect a bit of a pressure on the metals there, right? So you can see we had a flush down and then a flush back up. So we have actually three different types of patterns, three major patterns on the dollar index that could be saying we're forming a bottom, right? Firstly was the slowing pattern, as I just mentioned a minute ago. Secondly is the false breakout to the downside because it flushed below the lows here and then came straight back up. And thirdly, we're getting a bit of a V bottom. What comes next? Is it a very strong rally? Do we get a bit of a pullback and start to see something like that? If so, then we could be getting ready for a really strong move to the upside when it comes to when it comes to the dollar index there. So there we go, guys. There's a bit of an update for you across the markets. The point here, guys, is that no one definitely knows what's going to happen in the markets. We can use, we use technical analysis for probability about what's likely to come. But as I've talked about with these other markets here, is that it's important for us to say, okay, then this is what I'm expecting. But if it doesn't do that, then one, I know my view's off, and I need to adjust. And then okay, then if this doesn't happen, then what does that mean? So that's the first scenario. But the second scenario, the second thing is that, especially when you're in a trade, guys, it's important to have the trading mentality to say, okay, then this trade I'm getting into right now can be a loss. It's a really, really, really big thing, right? Because you're going to have your losses. And what tends to happen to most people? Most people have really big losses because they go in hard because they think they're definitely going to make a profit on this trade. We know, right? Like, even for myself, like my sort of what we call A quality setups that I trade, guys. I trade a few different types of trades in the markets, but when it comes to my bread and butter, the setups that are set up absolutely just beautiful. They're so powerful. But even those so powerful setups, they have some losses as well as sometimes as well too. So there we go, traders. Hope that helps you out, and I'll see you in the next update.